Good evening. Hello? 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 Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing? How are we doing? Can you hear me? Oh! I found myself there. I am looking around and I better not. I'm seeing people I know. Don't talk to them, Steve. Don't talk to them. It is wonderful to have you in Fitzroy tonight. My name is Steve Stockman. I'm privileged to be the minister here. And to have Fields of Life in the house is like having our brothers or sisters in the house. If you go out into this area to my right, when we extended our church halls, we tithed and built a church, built a school in Onelaku in Arua, northwest Uganda, West Nile, if you know where that is and what that means. And so we're delighted to have you here, and I hope you have a great night. I sat down near where some of you are sitting about 12, 13 years ago. I only dropped in because at that point Claire Nichol was working for Fields of Life, a member of our congregation. I thought I'd better come down, show my face, nip in late, go away early. And sitting down there halfway through the night, my good friend Alan Emerson told a story, which I could have told for him. I knew it. But in the middle of that story, my life was changed. And I suddenly realized if we tithe this extension, we could build a school somewhere in the world. And it ended up being in Onelaku. And that, for me, for my wife, for my daughters, the courses they're doing at Queen's this week are to do with sitting down there on a night like this. So sit back, be inspired, and have your life changed. Fields of Life, you're so welcome.
Try again. Oh, there we go. 2 seconds. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Tony. I'm the CEO at Fields of Life, and it's an absolute privilege to be here tonight. As I look around the room, I see a lot of very friendly faces, lots of familiar faces. I know that many of you here are real champions for Fields of Life. So it's amazing that we can all be together. I mean, especially after COVID and so many months or even years of not being able to meet like this, it is really special. On a night like this, you're always nervous that no one's going to come, that you're going to put all this effort into this and no one's going to come, but it is amazing. Look at how many people are here, and I know there are many more who are online, so you're all being live streamed tonight, so you'll have to be on your best behavior and promise not to heckle me too much. Steve, thank you so much for letting us use this building. Thank you to all the Fitzroy staff who are welcoming at the doors, and we really, really appreciate it. I recently visited the school that Steve and Fitzroy Presbyterian Church helped build, and it is really changing lives. Like all these little children who had waited for hours for us to get there, because it is like really, really far away from Kampala, and all those who are now laughing because they have taken that long, long journey. It really is a special school. So thank you. It means so much for us to be here. I know that there's people in the room who have traveled very far. There's people who have even traveled as far as Donaghadee. Big shout out from Donaghadee. There's people who are from the North Coast. Let's see, who's all come from the North Coast? I see a few, yep. There's some from Dublin. Yep, here, down at the front, the hecklers. We even have a very special guest with us from the USA. Why don't we give Maggie here, Maggie, stand up, give a big round of applause. Maggie is one of our board members, and she's been with us for an away day today, and we're really pleased to have you with us tonight. And we have a special guest all the way from Uganda. Please give a big clap for Dr. Godfrey. And I know online there's people zooming in, or whatever you call it, whatever the lingo is. They're streaming in from the USA, from different places, and our team in East Africa as well. So I love these events. This is actually our 5th Inspire event. The first one being during COVID, the dreaded Zoom years or Zoom months. And from that, we've just really enjoyed. I mean, it's a chance just to celebrate all that is being done, all that God is doing through Fields of Life over the year. I think it is always tradition in our events to begin with a word of prayer. And we've tended to always let one of the children actually open in prayer for us. So let's just bow our heads and let on the screen a little boy called Roger is going to open tonight in prayer.
Let us humble ourselves and we pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for giving us another chance to have the Inspire Conference again. Thank you for everyone at Fields of Life, the supporters, sponsors, and staff. We also thank you for our parents and teachers. We pray that you bless this evening as you inspire us through the work that Fields of Life is doing in our schools and communities across East Africa. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
So please forgive me holding this flip chart, but it's just so I don't forget anything because my memory is shocking. But I love that we begin the night in prayer from one of the children, because really it sets the tone for the evening. Because let's be honest, that's what it's all about. It's not about us. It's not about Fields of Life. It's about the children that we serve. And Trevor, right from the very beginning of starting Fields of Life, always said that our VIPs, our very important people, are the children that we serve. And Roger is one of those. And our vision at Fields of Life is to see skilled and educated young people like Roger, inspired by faith, hope, and love, go on to transform their communities. And I guess as I thought about this evening, I wondered, what do I want you to do when you walk home? What do I want you to feel as you're experiencing this evening? And I'm glad to tell you, you'll be relieved to hear, there's going to be no hard ask on you tonight, so you can sit relaxed. It's not a big fundraiser. This is an opportunity for you to see what God is doing through Fields of Life, to see what is happening because of your donations, to hear stories of transformation, to hear about lives that have literally been changed thanks to you doing something about what you've heard. And I guess if there was one thing that I wanted you to take away tonight, it would be that you can make a difference. I don't know about you, but as I tend to like a lot of these news podcasts, and I listen to so much that's going on in the world, and it's not very cheery. I think you'll admit it's not very cheery at the moment. There's a lot of really heavy things going on in the world today. But I hope that tonight, for a bit of a change, we can be inspired, and we can just for a moment settle our hearts and go, wow, look at what is happening. Look at the good that is happening in the lives of these children. Now, I love our team in East Africa. They, for me, are the real heroes of our organization. And I know many are tuning in to watch this evening, even though it's probably very, very late with you. But I wanted to, first of all, hear a message from our executive director, who many of you will have met, Esther. And she was just really keen to send you a message. So let's just hear a little bit from Esther.
Greetings from Fields of Life East Africa. My name is Esther, the Executive Director. I'm here to say thank you so much to all our supporters and friends of Fields of Life. We are so grateful for making it possible for thousands of children to have hope, for thousands of children to start on a journey of thriving. Thank you so much for partnering with us and making it possible for the children to access education. Not only to access education, but in an improved environment. Thank you so much for making it possible for hundreds of teachers to be trained. Thank you for making it possible for thousands of families to have improved access to safe water and station. We are so grateful for this partnership. Thank you so much for making it possible for every child to say, I'm educated, I'm fed, and I'm safe. And above all, they are loved. From our part as staff of Fields of Life East Africa, we pledge to do our very best with the resources that you've trusted us with. May God continue to bless you abundantly with love from all of us.
Thank you for supporting One Up in East Africa.
Esther's going to be watching, so why don't we give her a big cheer? Maybe she'll hear. Does anybody want to try the African no? Maggie, how did I do? Was that all right? Not great? No. I love working with Esther. I have a weekly call with Esther, and it's one of the highlights of my week. But I love all our team. She leads a phenomenal team. And I see by the nods of the heads looking around, just that for any of you who have been out to East Africa, who have met the team, that is what, for me, really sets Fields of Life apart. It's people who have given up a lot to go that extra mile. So my big thanks tonight to all the team who are streaming in, watching, is thank you for going that extra mile. Thank you for doing that quality education, teaching for teachers. Thank you for driving over those bumpy Marham roads to the most needy schools in the most remote places. Thank you for drilling wells and sleeping out for months away from your family. Thank you for all the ways that you commit to helping these children. We could not do any of this without you. Thank you. I asked the team what inspires them, and we asked to do a wee video. We want to do a video, what inspires you? And we didn't script it. We just wanted them to be authentic and tell us. I thought there might be a few things that might say what inspires us is actually Arsenal Football Club, because most people you meet in Uganda either support Arsenal or Manchester United. For some reason, they haven't got word that Liverpool are the best team, but we forgive them for that. But actually, what they came back with was so much more inspiring. And let's just watch a little bit about what inspires our team.
I love to see young people who would have never had a chance to get an education, go through an education, transform their lives, transform their families and their communities. Every time I see these young people do this, it inspires me and it makes me remember the story of the mustard seed.
I love seeing young people being empowered and being transformed to cause a positive change in their communities and to be able to break the cycle of poverty within their communities. So every time I go to a school and I see young people going to school, going to class, I see a story of transformation that is going to come in the near future.
What inspires me most as I come to work every day, as I think of my work, is the knowledge that whatever we do is changing a life. My every decision, with every approval, with every meeting, a life is being transformed. With every report, a life is being transformed. And to me, that is very, very fulfilling, knowing that this is not just a job, but it's a calling. It's a ministry that is aimed at creating empowered children and youths.
I'm so inspired when a child comes over and says, wow, if it was not because you recruited me, I would not have reached here.
This work has inspired me in so many ways. For example, under the Village Savings and Loans Associations, we have seen communities that would have been nothing. They had no hope, they had lost all their hope. But supporting them to come together and develop themselves into a Loans and Village Savings Association, they are able to save and borrow and be able to acquire whatever they need.
My most joyous moment is to see that when we distribute the Bible, we share the gospel, people not only drink physical water, they get also the word of life.
Seeing that adolescent girls who are teenage mothers return to school inspires me a lot to work. These girls were hopeless and they didn't know that they can still make it in life. Having them return to school, stay, and complete their studies has been a great inspiration for me, and it has made me work hard knowing that the more girls we reach out to, the better their future.
What inspires me each day to work for Fields of Life is the opportunity and the platform it creates for me to exercise my skills that impact the communities that are truly in need.
I am so much inspired by that sense of responsibility and accountability that comes with my role, the decisions that we make in our procurement meetings, how they impact our beneficiaries.
Seeing every child having an opportunity to learn and to learn more about God and to feel the love of Christ through paying for them school fees, giving them scholastic materials, and above all, when we see them graduating from one level to another and able to support their own families.
Just incredible. I love when they sent that back. It just really moved me that our team are so inspired by what they see in the community. So let's give them a big round of applause as well. So tonight's going to be fairly fast-paced. We're going to travel all over East Africa. We're going to be in Uganda. We're going to go to Rwanda. We're going to cycle through Rwanda, I think. We're going to go to South Sudan. We're going to hear about all the different projects. And I guess it might feel a bit like a whirlwind. And I hope what you can capture from it is just a little glimpse into the breadth and depth of what Fields of Life is doing and what you're doing through giving to Fields of Life. And what better place to start than in our I Am Girl program. And I know many of you know a little bit about our I Am Girl program. But maybe some of you don't know what I Am Girl is, so let me just give you a little synopsis. The I Am Girl program is something we started a number of years ago because 50% of girls in Uganda are illiterate. 50% between the ages 15 and 24. It's quite a shocking statistic if you were to put that in our context. Or another one that really just jarred me, 4 out of 5 girls don't attend secondary school at all. 4 out of 5. I mean, that is, it's really, really complex. There are so many things that cause a girl not to go to secondary school. But we know that educating girls is one of the most important ways that we can fight extreme poverty. In fact, I would argue the most important thing that we can do to fight extreme poverty. And the I Am Girl program, it reduces the barriers that girls face. And I'm going to throw a number out here, and it's going to feel like a number, but it's incredible when you think about it. For 21,032 adolescents, that's what I Am Girl is reducing the barrier for 21,000 adolescents living in extreme poverty. It's working at 32 schools. It's working at 96 communities. And interventions such as improving the water, sanitation, hygiene, reducing instances of child abuse in communities, increasing school attendance. And one aspect that I particularly love is helping pregnant mums get back to school. And they are probably some of the most ostracized, or some of the most stigmatized, where they, especially during COVID, where we saw teenage pregnancy rates skyrocket, and yet so many of these girls were kicked out of school. They were maybe even forced out of their homes. And so we've, this year alone, thanks to you, been able to help 96 teenage mums get back to school. Let's give a big round of applause for that. Let's watch this little video of Esme's story.
Like many teenage mothers in eastern Uganda, Esame loved school, but got pregnant at the age of 13 years. It was very hard for her to live and survive. Within that period, Esame was rejected by her own parents. She was chased away from home to go and look for a house where she can sleep, because in their culture, when a girl gets pregnant, she's not supposed to share a house with her own parents. Her parents too stopped her own siblings to interact with Esame because she seemed to be a disgrace in the family. Esame was left lonely. She was confused and afraid and had nowhere to go. I Am Girl program aims at reducing the barriers young girls face through provision of scholastic materials, financial support, training on skills, supporting teenage mothers, as well as continuous counseling and guidance. When we introduced this program in Esme's former primary school, her teacher knew the situation Esme was going through all that period. He went and talked to her that you still have hope to go back to school. Esme could not believe that, because in her culture, when a girl gives birth, it is very hard to support her back to school. Esme came back to school, and I Am Girl program supported her with a uniform, books and pens, a school bag, financial support to care for her baby, as well as continuous counseling and guidance. All this was done to Esame to help her heal from the trauma of reject she got from her family members, from the community members, and from her own peers. Since Esame reported back to school, her life has really changed. She no longer carries a burden of shame. She's no longer afraid. She can now interact with her friends. Esame has a dream of becoming a teacher to teach other children and inspire them. Her braveness and courage to come back to school showed me that young mothers can come back to school even after giving birth, pursue their dreams and goals, and become important people in their own communities. Today, Esame has hope and is no longer afraid because she's in a school where she belongs. She stands an opportunity to reach her full potential and thrive.
Thank you so much for standing up for girls like Esme and for 96 other teenage mums who are now back to school, thanks to you. I'm now going to invite our financial controller, Roisin Scott, up. So please give her a massive round of applause. Roisin has been such a godsend to Fields of Life. She helps make sure that the finances are safe, that they are accounted for, that we have value for money. So we are very blessed to have Roisin with us. But I'm going to hand you over to Roisin. Thank you.
Hello. I feel like a country and western singer, but I'm going to try this still since they're here. I'll give it a go. Good evening, everybody. As Tony said, I'm Roisin Scott. And I suppose as we continue to think about inspiring people, we cannot ignore the fact that we had a team of inspiring cyclists embark on a cycle in Rwanda. And this event is especially close to my heart because several of the cycle team I have known for over 25 years, and one in particular for about 35 years, but we'll not go into that. Now, if anybody knows Benny McCune, you know that he doesn't do things by half. And Benny and I got to talking maybe about a year and a half ago, about a potential partnership between Fields of Life and between the cycle group that he's part of called the Rollers, middle-aged men in lycra, as we refer to them, obviously. No offence, boys. But to be honest, when I saw the distance and the elevation that these guys were talking about, it was unreal. There was no way I was even going to last a day. And I kind of said, well, sure, I'll come and hand out oranges. But I didn't go. But most of the team are here tonight, which is wonderful. But Benny, can I invite you up the front to my boys' own stool, and you can take a microphone. We could honestly chat for hours about what these guys experienced, and the video footage, if any of you follow the Fields of Life Facebook page, the video footage was incredible, and I think there's some photos up on the screen as well. And they got quite a following on Instagram and LinkedIn and everything, so it was all wonderful. But I want to ask Benny a couple of questions. You need a microphone back here. I've got one for you. Right, so Benny, just 3 questions. We're tight on time. But tell me, why did you get so behind this challenge? Oh, I just fiddled with it. But are we on?
Good.
Go for it.
Good to know that we're tight on time, because I could chat about this trip all night, but you'll be glad to know I won't do that. So why did we get behind the trip? Well, this is something, you said we started talking about this a year and a half ago. I think we probably started talking about this 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe longer. From my perspective, as the team will tell you, there's 10 of us in total, and we're cyclists. We love cycling, and that's something that we do a lot of. But having chatted to Roisin, heard what Fields of Life were doing at a time, and I love what Steve said at the very start in terms of inspiring, something struck a chord that we thought, well, there's something we can do here. We can join our love of cycling and the opportunity to do something purposeful, and Fields of Life just seemed to be that perfect opportunity to do that. And so that was discussed, and we talked through, could that work? Was that possible? And ultimately, we did find that it was. But I suppose we went to Rwanda with the intention of bringing some hope and some encouragement, and to cycle through the country. But the reality is we were blessed so much more by the people we met. Maybe one of the encounters I could tell you about was, as we chatted about, that was something that was a real theme for us, the encounters with the people that we met. And it was clear in Rwanda, those of you who have been, that the genocide has left such a dark and deep hole in the community, and the people you meet and the people that you talk to. And clearly many of them have no other surviving relatives. They have been, they've lost so many loved ones through that period. And as you see some of the photos, my encounter was at the school, one of the Fields of Life schools. I think it was Nairosia in Kazumba. And after we'd had this fabulous presentation with the team, and we'd heard so much about Fields of Life and what they had done for the school and the community, after that it all passed, you'll see one of the photos in a moment, is with me and 3 ladies. One of them particularly who appeared to me to be quite elderly, and she just had this most amazing smile in her face. She looked into my eyes, and we held hands for a time, and we had that encounter. Here she is on the right-hand side. And she kept repeating something. She just kept repeating something in Kuri Rwandan that clearly I didn't know what it was. And I smiled at her, she smiled at me, and we had this lovely moment together. And I said to the guides, who weren't Christians, and they were quite taken aback by all of this themselves. And I said, what is she saying? She keeps saying something to me. And they said, she's saying, God bless you. And that moment was one of those encounters that I had, because we had come to this school, the school that Fields of Life had built, and this had had a dramatic impact in this community that we heard all about. People, the kids that had been walking for 5 kilometres before this school was here. And this lady, who as I looked into her eyes, I just thought, what has she experienced in this genocide? How many of her family has she lost? What has she seen? What has she lived through? And she stands and she looks into my eyes with the most amazing smile, and she says, God bless you. That was an encounter like we had lots of, but that was that grace that was shown, or the blessing that we intended to bring, was repaid tenfold.
Oh, that's amazing, Benny. Thank you so much. You've answered about 10 questions there that I have written down, but that's fine. So I suppose just on a practical level, just to give everybody here online a feel for the actual cycle, how long were you away for? What distance did you travel?
Yep.
Elevation, all that technical stuff.
Okay, you'll see some of the photos there. We cycled for 6 days. We cycled just under 300 kilometres. We had a day on either side of the trip as well to see around a little. What an amazing privilege it was to visit Rwanda. And as you maybe see in some of the photos there, this was just a luscious green country with the bumpiest roads that we could have travelled across. I tried to insist that we would be on road bikes. And I said, no, we're road cyclists. We don't want to be on mountain bikes. No, you're going to be on mountain bikes. But could we definitely not be on road bikes? No, the roads are quite bumpy. Right, okay, so definitely mountain bikes, is it? It's definitely mountain bikes. And boy, was I glad we were on mountain bikes, because the roads, we were just this kind of stuff the whole time. But through tea plantations, through coffee plantations, we went down through the rainforest. As we left Kigali, we travelled south, down towards the south of the country, and then across west, along the edge of the rainforest, up to Lake Kivu to finish. We should have gone up to Goma, but obviously the situation there has turned pretty nasty. And so that became a red zone, so we had that. But yeah, that was what a privilege to get to cycle through the country. It really was stunning, and you see some.
I think Benny said to me at the end, their bones and the bikes were broken by the end of it, and I think he still can't feel a couple of his fingers just from the.
It's coming back now. The feeling's coming back about a month later.
But genuinely, a massive thank you to you all. I mean, incredible challenge, and on behalf of all of us, thank you so much. I'll let you take your seat again. Thank you.
Look. Sorry, one last thing, because I thought you were going to ask me another question. I suppose I didn't get chatting about the Fields of Life schools themselves, and I'll not take time and do that now. But that was just an incredible privilege, again, to get to see for ourselves. We were treated like royalty, and I suppose as we walked in, we hadn't expected to have this kind of treatment and singing and dancing and celebration like we were royalty, when I guess actually many of you should have been the ones that should have been receiving the thanks and the celebration, many of you that have been part of the journey in building their school. But that was just fabulous, and I suppose it was really important to think that we bring back that to this audience, just to hear that gratitude, the stories of how much of a difference the schools, the sanitation facilities, the libraries, all of the things that Fields of Life provided for us to see that for ourselves was just brilliant. And
so on behalf of all the people of Rwanda are saying God bless to all of you as well. So Benny, thank you, and to the cyclists, thank you so much. He would go for hours, honestly. And I suppose just on that, we want to say a massive thank you to everybody online in this room who have undertaken challenges or made sacrifices in the last year on behalf of Fields of Life. And just to read out a few of them, we had our very own Ross and his sister Zoe complete a triathlon. We had Mabel, who I think I saw yes, Mabel, who celebrated her birthday, and she chose to bless Neapea Primary School in Gulu in northern Uganda. Harry in Glasgow, who might be online, he cut off all his hair. We had a team from Equip CrossFit, which is a gym in Northern Ireland, and they're raising funds for 2 boreholes. And as part of their fundraising, they did a marathon row, and Ross showed us some of the videos online, and the atmosphere was buzzing, as Ross would say. And we also had a team from Kilkenny and Dublin who have done various events, including a table quiz and a variety concert. So the list goes on and on and on. So we're just so thankful for each and every one of you. No deed is too small or insignificant. We can all make a difference, every single one of us. And I suppose just to say, if you would like to do a fundraiser or need any help or advice, to support our work, please do speak to one of us this evening, or if you want, you can email us at info@fieldsoflife.org for any other information. Your support will help a child to thrive, bottom line. So, seamless segue into our next section. So what do we mean by thrive? At Fields of Life, I think Esther said it in one of the videos, we believe for every child to truly thrive, 4 key needs need to be met. We want to see every child to say, I am educated, I am safe, I am fed, and I am loved. Since I started working for Fields of Life 3 years ago next month, I get to travel out to East Africa roughly twice a year. And I'm nearly always in the office because financial controller, that's pretty much where I should be. Doing monitoring, training, love a good spreadsheet, spend time with my colleagues there. But every so often, it's just really lovely to go out and to see the projects, to remind myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. So when I was out in November, which was the last time, I got to travel to Nakawanzo Primary School, which is out in the eastern of Uganda, and what an experience that was. Just to give you a little bit of information, Nakawanzo Primary School is a community school, and it's based in Namatumba district in eastern Uganda. The school has 408 children, but the school only had 1 permanent building. So many of the children had to actually do their learning outside under the trees to try to have shelter from the sun. Fields of Life were delighted to be able to support this school with the construction of a brand new spanking classroom block. And that was thanks to the incredible support and generosity of Temple Carrick School in Greystones, if anybody's online, Banbridge Road Presbyterian Church, and Orangefield Presbyterian Church here in Belfast. And I have 2 very special individuals here this evening who came with me to Nakawanzo Primary in November. So could I please ask Wallace and Margaret Pepper to join me on my bar stools, please. Give them a hand. So needless to say, before the trip, I didn't know Wallace and Margaret from Adam, and by the end of it, they were like surrogate parents. Right, grab a microphone. And I just have a couple of questions for you guys. So wonderful to see you both, actually for the first time since November. So tell me, why Nakawanzo Primary School? Oh. Benny, did you touch it?
Can it come back on itself, or does it?
Well done.
Better now?
Well done.
Good evening. Lovely to see you. Nakawanzo because, along with Banbridge Road Church, our church, we'd been working with New Hope Primary for almost 11 years in a different district, and they had really come to the stage where they are very self-sufficient, and it was time to move on. Then, unfortunately, we lost a very much loved grandchild, and people donated money to build a borehole, a well. And in fact, we ended up with enough for 3 boreholes, which was just amazing in Uganda. So we wanted those, they were in a very, very rural district, not all that far from each other. And we said, if we were to sponsor growth of a new school, we'd like it to be near those 3 wells, and that's how Nakawanzo in Namatumbu came up.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Margaret. And Wallace, can you share a little with those here tonight and joining online? What was the opening of the classroom block like?
Well, it was quite a celebration, as you well know.
Yes.
And it did go on for some time. It was about 5 hours. So lots of singing and dancing by the children, and the teachers and the local dignitaries were all there to join in the celebration. And probably one of the highlights was when the children presented presents to everyone who was there. And the lady, for example, who donated the land got a big turkey. The local MP got a turkey, and someone else got a turkey, and then other people got a goat, which is ourselves.
These are all living animals. They're not, living animals.
These are living animals. It really was quite a celebration, and followed by food and so on. And really it was very humbling to see the difference that we could make to the lives of the children and the local community through the new classroom block that was built. So a really good day. For you, was there something special that stood out for you?
Well, I have to say, the turkeys appearing terrified the life out of me, I'm not going to lie. Because initially the kids were all in a huddle in front of us, and I saw them walking forward, and I could make out mangoes and avocados. And then some of the children started to part ways, and the 4 turkeys that were alive, as Margaret said, were walking forward. But the funny thing that made us all laugh was one of the lively gentlemen, who a very jovial man, was given one of the turkeys. And he had the turkey in one hand and he had the microphone in the other. And he just was talking away like, you know, it was all normal. But the turkey was upside down and hadn't been tied properly. So the turkey's kind of going, "Rawr, rawr," and he's talking away. So we were all a little bit, oh my goodness. But so Margaret was very graceful in accepting the goat, I have to say. And it did make its way back to Kampala, and I'll not say any more after that.
We were very disappointed we couldn't bring the goat home. But Bridget took care of it in the Fields of Life office.
She did indeed. So final question, how did you get your church involved?
So could we just go back 2 slides? Just to see, yeah. So this is what Nakawanzo had before, just about a year ago. This is what they were teaching in, and then this is what they have now. So a complete transformation for that school, and it is really just the beginning of that journey to make that school a self-sufficient school similar to New Hope that we have just finished with after a 10-year project. Sorry, Roisin.
You okay? How did you get your church involved?
Well, that is quite a long journey in many ways. I first went to Uganda with my bank manager, Maurice Donaldson, in 2008. And it impacted me greatly that first time I'd been there. And really it was through talking to friends in church and so on, and then inviting friends to come and see the work that was going on, getting them involved. And I think the thing from Fields of Life perspective, it's not a big charity, and you can see the difference that you can make with not a great deal of effort and, you know, and not a lot of money. And so when we came back in 2014 after spending a wee while there, we suggested that they partner with a school, and we partnered with New Hope. And in New Hope we built latrines, a kitchen, a dormitory for girls, and we fenced in the site. And that really completed the school, and that's why we then moved on to Nakawanzo. But it is a slow process, and letting your congregation see the difference that they can make, and through child sponsorship and so on, and the letters that come to the sponsors make a big difference to them. But it's that continual giving updates and so on. As someone said one time, people give to vision. Fields of Life have lots of vision. And the other aspect of that is that vision leaks, so you need to keep reminding people of the difference that they're making. So it is a slow process, but it's a very worthwhile process.
Thank you both so very much. Round of applause for Wallace and Margaret. So just to finish up, to say a massive thank you to everybody at Banbridge Road Presbyterian Church, and to Temple Carrick School in Greystones, and to Orangefield Presbyterian. And just to finish, as Wallace and Margaret were saying, if you would like to explore the idea of a partnership with your church or an organisation that you're involved with, and a partnership with Fields of Life, again, please do speak to any of us this evening, or you can email us. Thank you all so much for listening, and I'll now hand back to Tony. Thanks.
Try again. Yeah. Thank you so much, Roisin. Thank you, Wallace and Margaret. How are we all doing? We good? We enjoying this? Enjoying seeing the difference that's being made? We've heard a little bit about education, about educating children, and Roisin very rightly said that we want to see every child thrive. by saying, I am educated. And another way that we want to see a child thrive is through saying, I am safe. And this kind of section that we have was such a big section. I was thinking, how am I going to convey this? Because there are so many aspects, and anybody who works in the Fields of Life office will know there are many aspects to helping a girl or a boy say, I am safe. And so I got thinking, and I really, as I thought about it, I kept coming back to a little girl called Selena. So on the screen, hopefully you'll see, this is Selena. Isn't she a beautiful young girl? And this is a girl that our family has the privilege of sponsoring. So a shout out to the sponsorship, and I know many in the room also sponsor children. And it's lovely when you sponsor a child and you help them through their fees, and really seeing their letters come in. And my children love looking over the letters and seeing the pictures that have been drawn, sometimes the little math sums that don't quite add up, but it doesn't matter. All the lovely little spellings that they're teaching about, or maybe little facts that they've been told about Uganda. And I think it's wonderful that our sponsorship program exists, because our sponsorship program is helping the most vulnerable. The only reason it exists, actually, is because even though there are so many other things that we are doing, and we would ideally want it that no child would be sponsored, that their parents can pay for their education, unfortunately, in some very extreme circumstances, there are children that still, no matter all the interventions we're doing, that are still out of school. Whether they've been orphaned, whether they're in really difficult circumstances. And so that's why our sponsorship program exists. But Selena, as I thought about her, I thought about all the dangers that she faces. How do you help someone like Selena to say, I am safe? Because it's great that she's at school, that's fantastic, but how do we make sure that she is safe in school? Because when I drop my children off to school, and I've got 4 of them, and whenever I drop them off, I'm pretty confident, I would like to think, that they're going to stay in school for the day. I'm pretty sure that when I come back to pick them up at 3 o'clock, they'll be there, usually running out, throwing their bags and lunchboxes at me as I try and catch them all. But I'm pretty confident that the kids will be there when I get back. But sometimes in these rural schools where you have hundreds of children in a classroom, that may not be the case. In fact, what you would find is many of the children just wander out of the school after lunch, maybe go back and get some food at their family's house, or maybe walk into the village. And then the teacher, who's got a classroom of 200 kids, is like, okay, who all have we got here? So one part of what we're doing is actually saying, okay, how do we help this school to make sure that each child is safe in school? And one of the most significant, simple ways that we can do that is actually creating a security perimeter fence around the school. It might feel like quite a strange thing. Why would you want to put fences up in schools? But actually, it's for keeping the children in school, that they're not going to go wander off in the middle of the day. But also, unwanted visitors, we want to keep them out of school. How would you like it if, as my colleague told me this week, that your child comes home from school and tells you that a drunk man had walked onto the school and was having an argument with your teacher during your class? That literally happened to my colleague whose children thought this was very funny, that this drunk man was standing outside the window having an argument with the teacher about whether he was right or wrong about what he was teaching. Or in a more serious note, when I was in South Sudan, they told me about a man with a gun walking onto the school premises. And everybody had to hide under desks because a man with a gun had just walked onto the school with no fence to stop him. So a fence has a huge impact at keeping children safe. And you'll see a picture here. This is a picture of a big security fence around Neapea School, which Mabel and Nigel have been working with their church. And this keeps not only the children in school and unwanted visitors out of school, but also helps them actually keep their stuff safe. The computers that we've invested in, the solar panels, the agriculture, all of this stuff is kept safe. Another thing that keeps Selena safe is dormitories and making sure that where she is sleeping is somewhere safe. Hands up who was at the gala ball 2 years ago this month. See, oh, quite a few, yeah. And do you remember we fundraised? It was a really special night. We fundraised for a new dormitory for a secondary school in a very poor area of West Nile. This was the dormitory where these girls were staying, where they had 3 girls to a bed, where children had to sleep in the toilets, literally the toilets. And many more children could not go to school at all because they just could not accept any more. This was the bedrooms, if you remember. And then have a look at what, thanks to that night and all the supporters who gave that night, let's give a round of applause to the team. Isn't that amazing? I had the privilege of meeting some of the young teenage girls afterwards, and they were so funny, actually, just their laughter and their banter. It was just really, really great. But more than that, this meant so much to them. One girl told me, never in my life would I ever have dreamed that I could stay somewhere like this. I mean, it would just melt your heart, but also just amazing. Now, she's able to stay in school, and she's able to complete her education, which we know that is the formative years, those teenage years. That's where most girls drop out of school. Or maybe not only unsafe dormitories, it could be unsafe other classroom blocks. So we have, if maybe you've seen and pay attention to the emails that we sent, we had an appeal last year where we said we wanted to turn, is this a cattle shed or is it a classroom? And right enough, it did not look like a classroom, but yet this was a nursery school for 150 kids. We're in this little shack, and it was unsafe. I'm just going to remind you of just what that little campaign video looked like. Like most of Fields of Life partner schools, St. Stephen's Musalaba is at the end of a dusty Marham road. It's based in northern Uganda, just outside Gulu city, an area that has been scarred by a 20-year brutal war that recruited child soldiers and committed terrible, terrible atrocities. One of the biggest problems that this school has is a lack of adequate structure for children under the age of 5. Every single day, 87 children are attending this hut, which really is good for animals, not children.
The classroom that we have is not good at all. It's a very bad structure for the young children to sit and learn on, because at any time they can collapse. It is very weak. The material used to build that class is of mud, that when it is raining, even you can see the weakness. Sometimes the rain even entered into the class, so making children uncomfortable. The children sit on the floor, which interrupts what they have come for.
This not only is bad for the children, but it's also bad for the community, because parents do not want to send their young children to school, and so they hold them back. And research has shown that if you invest in early childhood education, that not only will it be good for the children, it will also reduce the risk of underage death. If this school could have a good quality early childhood development centre, it would be transformational for these children and young people. Not only would it provide a better quality of classroom for the children that we have currently, but it would also bring many more children from right across this community. Our dream is that behind me here, we can provide a new nursery block, a new early childhood development centre that would accommodate more than 135 children under the age of 5. We hope, through your support, that we will be able to provide this within this year, so that they can say,
I am educated, I am safe, I am fed, I am loved.
So thank you for partnering with us in this. Absolutely brilliant. And let's have a look then. So that's what it was like. Let's have a look at what it's like now. It's still under construction, so it's almost ready to open, and they're already having sign-ups of dozens more children who are really excited to join. And that's not the only one. We have over 4 buildings this year that we're looking to put up safe structures for children, including a new nursery at Nakiapini School for 157 children, and other buildings and classrooms such as Namatumba Primary School in Eastern Uganda, which is 3,500, I think, children at that school. So, you know, huge impact being had. So for someone like Selena, it's making sure that she's safe in school by providing perimeter fences, through providing safe buildings, but also through safe toilets. Again, such a simple intervention that we can make, but such a transformational difference. You look at the state of the toilets, can you imagine 800 children using that? Really? I mean, it's wrong in 2025 that would be the case, and yet look behind them what the new structure looks like, and it costs 10 grand or there or thereabouts to put up a structure like that. And yet this year we've identified another 12 schools that we, God willing, will be able to put up such structures for. And look at those girls, so proud outside their new toilet block. Another way that we can keep girls like Selena safe is, of course, and for many of you, you will know about this, is through access to safe drinking water. Because many girls have to walk long, grueling distances to find water for their family before school. They're at risk of abuse. They're at risk of snake bites. They're at risk of even crocodile bites. And you know, it can be completely devastating for a young child to have to go and walk long distances, to be exhausted in the day, and to actually miss school. And I know that we have many from our Water for Life team. Hands up, who was at our Water for Life event in Armagh earlier in the year? Not so many, but still a few. We section over here. And the Water for Life team raise money through fundraising groups, and they've raised over £1 million as a team over the last number of years. Isn't that incredible what they've achieved? And what we're doing is actually drilling boreholes, deep quality boreholes in very, very rural communities. I want to show you a picture of one of the children who actually did get a crocodile bite this year. This is one of our sponsored children, and he had a crocodile bite when he was trying to fetch water from a local stream. So when we tell you these stories, it's not like, because sometimes it can just seem like, oh yeah, right, yeah, I'm sure they all get bitten by crocodiles. But actually, when we're in the office, we're receiving these letters. I think it was Nicola or Anna received the pictures of it, and we're just like, guys, have you seen this? You know, it really is happening, and these are the dangers that we want to keep them safe from. Our water drilling is making a huge impact, and I know many of you in the room sponsor this and give to this, so thank you for the difference that you're making. Our drilling team work for months at a time. They live out in tents, and they work with the communities, not just in drilling for water, but also teaching around good sanitation, good health, in helping the communities to understand the importance of drinking safe water, of educating their children in drinking safe water, and even now we've added in village savings and loans associations along with that to help the community, and distributing Bibles as well. So it's a really comprehensive program, and again, costs around 10 grand to drill a borehole and all those other interventions. I'm just going to share with you a video here, just showing a little bit more, bringing to life a little bit more about our Water for Life.
When I visited Jopajalang community in Zombo district, I told the community to take me to their water source. When I reached the water source, I felt very much moved because of the dirty water that this community was consuming. My name is Moses, and I work with Fields of Life East Africa as the WASH coordinator. My role involves moving in different districts and communities building partnerships, and strengthening community structures for safe water access. The water source in Jopa Jalango community was unsafe for women, girls and boys, and the elderly in the community. Moving from homes to the water source, it was a long distance, but also the way to the water source was very bushy. The girls were not safe because anything could happen to them along the way. Girls were suffering picking water from the water source. We saw children drinking the water, which was very unsafe. Unfortunately, this is the only water source in the community. The women have to come for this water to take home for drinking, for cooking food, for washing. The children in the community and in the schools around drink from this same water source, where the animals are also drinking. When I looked into the water, I only saw diseases that could be transmitted. I only saw how unsafe the children were in these communities. I could not believe that this is the water that the people of Jopa Jalango were using and drinking. When the community gets safe water, their life changes in very many aspects. Hygiene and sanitation improves in homes. Women are protected and girls. Children are able to go to school without disturbances, and they also have enough time for production in their homes. Let me introduce you to Okuruka village, which received the gift of safe water 2 years back from Fields of Life. Since this community received safe water source, things have changed. Cases of cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, they have all reduced. The borehole is situated centrally in the community where everyone can access the water. To this community, this borehole is a precious gift. Today, the people of Okuruka are drinking safe water, thanks to people like you and our team working together. Within the next few months, our drilling team will be working to give safe water to communities all over Zombo district. Together, we can help more communities.
I just love what Fields of Life are doing in this space, and I think we're getting closer and closer to 1,000 boreholes since Fields of Life started 30 years ago, which is quite amazing achievement. We've identified another 10 communities in this particular district in West Nile, and I'm extremely proud of the team because they didn't have to choose such a difficult place to find water, but they are passionate about getting to the most hard-to-reach areas where there are no other charities around doing this, and it's notoriously difficult to drill there. So I'm really proud of the team for doing that, for going to the difficult places, for doing the hard work, and I just want to commend them as they watch for what they do for the least of these. And really, those hard-to-reach communities is really in our DNA. It's in who Fields of Life are. And right from the very beginning, Trevor and Dalway and all of these guys will tell you that they deliberately chose the difficult to get to places, the places where the children were the most vulnerable. And really, in the last number of years, Dalway has been chipping away at me to see, Tony, we need to do something in South Sudan. And I said, Dalway, maybe later, maybe later. That's a different kettle of fish. And he says, Tony, I think we're being called to South Sudan. So I'm going to invite Dalway up. As I do, I'm going to show you a little snippet of a video just to show you what we're doing. But come on up, Dalway. Hey everyone, welcome to Harrow Primary School. This school is the first school that was brought to Maridi district in South Sudan. It holds 646 children who are all working hard and want to make a future for themselves. We are doing so many things here. We're helping the teachers be trained. We're helping every child be fed through sustainable agriculture. We are also helping provide clean toilets and safe sanitation and health. And as well as that, we're helping all the children be able to say, I am loved, by teaching them the Word of God and giving them understanding that they are loved no matter what their circumstances. So on behalf of all these children, thank you so much for the love that you are showing to the least of these. And I can promise you that no children were harmed as I walked across that. That was good fun filming that. Galway, let's give Galway a big welcome. I saw a different side of Galway whenever I went to South Sudan. Basically, his heart melts already, and he's an emotional guy at the best of times, but when he's in South Sudan, he was a puddle, both because of the heat and the emotions. But Galway, tell us, what impact did you see?
I've been going to South Sudan, I think, since 2013, maybe the first time, and it really was a very, very hopeless place. It's the poorest country on earth. Average income, even today, is £350 a year. That's less than £1 a day for a family to live on. 80% of the children don't get to school because there aren't any schools. 50% of the people have absolutely no access to health care, and most of them have no access to clean water. So I guess the first time I went, I just felt this is not fair. This is not fair. You know, there's so many of us just living so well, and living with surplus, and these people have nothing. And it did get under my skin, and it has stayed, thank God, it has stayed under my skin. It breaks my heart to see children without hope. But this time, the fourth time I visited South Sudan, I was seeing hope for the first time, because we had built some schools and we had drilled some wells, and there were children who were educated and who were fed, and we actually were at the commissioning of a school fence, which I've never been at before, with the bishop, and we didn't quite sprinkle water on it, but we opened this fence officially to keep those children safe. My children, my grandchildren are safe. In South Sudan, a teenage girl is more likely to die in childbirth than she is to go to secondary school. A teenage girl is more likely to die in childbirth than she is to go to secondary school. That's not fair. I wouldn't want that for my grandchildren. So why should we allow that to happen to the children of South Sudan?
Wow. I mean, what would you say was the biggest highlight of our trip?
My biggest highlight was getting Tony to go.
I was nervous.
Tony was nervous because you fly in on little planes into dirt runways, and but no, I just love seeing. I love seeing the impact of the work that Fields of Life is doing. I love seeing the impact of the money that you give, changing lives and bringing hope. And yeah, I just love seeing that, Tony, everywhere we went, and to see the poorest of the poor. And these people, where we're working in Western Equatoria, near the Congo border, it's one of the poorest places on earth. but to see hope being brought, to see smiling faces, and to see mothers and fathers having hope for their children. There's nothing better.
And was there any particular need or biggest problems that you saw when you were there?
Huge need for more schools. Huge need for water, for clean water. There's nobody there drilling for water. So there's no NGOs working there. There are no charities working there drilling for water. We need to do something. We need to bring clean water, because clean water brings health and transformation to a community. So clean water, yes, I came home just thinking, these kids need education, but they need clean water, Tony.
Well, I guess another aspect of the Thrive program was I Am Fed. Could you tell me just even a little tiny bit about seeing what it was like seeing these children get a daily meal?
Yeah, I remember one day going out to a school deep in the village, and they have an agriculture program there. And the kids are being fed, I think, 3 times a week. And that's an improvement, because before that, they weren't being fed at all. And they're now being fed 3 times a week because we have an agricultural program. Yeah, they're fed, they're safe, they're educated, but most of all, they're loved. The people, the churches we're working with there love those children, and they're caring for them, and they're teaching them and telling them the good news of the gospel. That's hope.
We are starting a partnership with the Church of Ireland and the Bishop's Appeal to feed the children in South Sudan. And we're working with youth groups right across the country of Ireland. And the idea is that they have pancakes for Lent, and it costs, we worked out what it would cost to feed a child in South Sudan for 1 year through agriculture. So just imagine a whole year being able to feed that child. And that amount came to £2.50 for a year. So if anybody here thinks, I can't make a difference, or I don't know how to make a difference, £2.50 could feed a child for a year. So I'll leave that with you. And when you talk about the water, it's actually not one that we have a solution for yet. Every school I went to, I would agree, they said our biggest needs water. We don't know what to do there, actually, at the minute. I'm just going to be honest. But we are hoping, I mean, our team are actively looking, could we do a 3-year project that could actually bring water to this community? And it's something that I would love your prayers for, just to figure out how we do that, because the logistics and the operations of doing that, if anybody who knows that space, is very tricky. But it's just something that's been laying on our hearts. Let's give Galway a huge round of applause. Thanks, Galway. So I told you it would be a whirlwind tour. You've been cycling in Rwanda, you've been in South Sudan, and now we're going to go to Gulu, northern Uganda, and I want to invite my colleague Naomi up, and please give Naomi a big warm welcome.
Good evening. So just across the border from South Sudan that Always just talked to us about is another difficult place that is really, really close to our hearts as an organisation, and that is northern Uganda. We've heard a little bit about northern Uganda tonight, but Gulu was the epicenter of one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. This is a place where thousands of children were used as child soldiers, and where girls were used and abused as slaves. And as a result of this conflict, many young people missed out entirely. In fact, a whole generation of young people around my age missed out on the opportunity of an education. And so today, Gulu is a place where there's hope rising, but youth unemployment is such a big issue. And the Vocational Training Institute that Fields of Life was able to build just a few years ago is really helping to tackle that issue and change the story there, and provide young people with practical skills in a Christian, nurturing environment that's helping them to heal, but also to gain those practical skills that they can support themselves and their families after 2 years of studying there. So some of you in the room, maybe tonight or watching online, actually helped to give some of those young people scholarships, some of those young people who otherwise would not be able to afford to do a course of their choice. You're supporting them through £100 a month or €100 a month to go do a course of their choice, gain those skills, and look towards the future with much more hope to get a job that they can support themselves with. And honestly, it's impossible to overstate the significance of that opportunity for those young people. To see them already now becoming hairdressers and mechanics and all kinds of spaces that they're working in, hotel managers, is just incredible. And I'm sure that they couldn't have imagined just a couple of years ago that that would be possible. And the support that you're giving is also creating just a really safe space for them to overcome the trauma that they have experienced and to be equipped as leaders of the future. And one of our biggest highlights and joys last year as an organisation was to see the first cohort of students come through their courses and graduate. And we're just going to see a short little clip of the joy of that day and the celebration as they got to just think about the future and think about how they might use those skills to better their lives in the future.
Hey everyone, the day has finally arrived. We're here for the graduation at the Archbishop Janel Lewin Vocational Training Institute. We have 439 young people who have had skills given to them, who have developed in their character, and today's the day that they get to graduate, to celebrate with their families, with their parents, with their teachers about what they've achieved.
I've been doing national certificate in automotive mechanics and I've completed it, I've passed it, and I'm very happy. Right now in the community there, I can also help myself, I can work. Honestly, I want to appreciate Fields of Life for all those years and endeavoring to help me pay my school fees up to this moment.
My hope for the future is I would like to do a teaching course. I would like to be a teacher and maybe do some business. And I would like to say thank you to Fields of Life and to all the funds that you have been making to support us and see us through school.
This is like a dream come true, seeing young people walking around filled with lots of hope, lots of joy. They are facing the future confidently. Our vision as Fields of Life is to see skilled and educated young people being inspired by hope, faith and love transforming their own communities. And indeed, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing these youths as agents of transformation in their own communities.
Thank you to everyone who has sponsored students, who have donated to this project and have made this possible. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so, so much.
Just amazing. You would have loved to have been there, wouldn't you? Can we thank you tonight if you are someone that sponsors one of those students? Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for what you do. It really does change the trajectory of a young person's life when they get that opportunity and they step over beyond that graduation and into the workplace. It's just incredible. And maybe you're here tonight or you're watching online and you think, I would love to do that. I could do something about that. We would love to invite you to consider for £100 a month or €100 a month taking a young person on and journeying with them over 2 years to see them do a course of their choice. We support a number of young people to do that, but there are still 25 young people this year that we would love to give that opportunity to, and we just don't quite have the funds ready to be able to do that. So if that's something that you'd love to respond to tonight, please do think about that and the skills and the leadership that you could invest into their lives. And finally, the last piece of the Thrive puzzle, we've looked at I am educated, I am safe, I am fed. And lastly, tonight, I just want to share with you a little bit about the I am loved aspect of our work, which really is at the core of everything that we do. We want every child that we come into contact with to know that they are unconditionally loved by God. And our prayer is that we will see children who are inspired by faith, living out kingdom values of honesty and integrity and love and hope, and transforming their communities with that faith. And so to do that, part of what we're doing at the moment to develop that holistic discipleship and leadership in these young people is, alongside the local church, distributing children's Bibles and Christian resources. We're training teachers and community members on how best to disciple and mentor and invest in leadership skills in our young people. We're equipping schools and churches to set up discipleship groups. We're even getting to support some children to go along to youth camps that otherwise they wouldn't have the opportunity to attend. And this year we're really excited about a new partnership that we're starting with an organisation called Bible Education Services, or BES, which came about thanks to David Jebb, one of our supporters. And BES is providing Christian outreach materials for children. And so we love to partner with other organisations who share our values to further the work that we're doing. And we've just had a shipment of those materials actually arrive with our team in Uganda very recently. So they're really excited to get their hands on those and get them into the hands of those who will use them. We're hoping that a shipment of materials will arrive soon in Rwanda as well. And that will be just a really tangible way of children being able to read about the love of God in a way that they can understand and enjoy. There's so much to this aspect of our work. It really runs through everything that we do, but I'd love to share just one story with you as I finish that just sums up for me the real long-lasting and wide-reaching impact that this aspect of our work can have. And you've actually, you've seen the individual on the screen tonight. His name is Moses, and Moses was just 4 years old when he ended up without either of his parents. And so his auntie took him in. She took him under her care, but she had very little income, and she already had 5 children who she was responsible for. So Moses knew that in that season of his life, the likelihood of ever going to school was really, really slim. But a Fields of Life school, in fact, the first Fields of Life school, was built really close to Moses' village. And he actually got the opportunity through sponsorship to go to that school and to see that dream of putting on a school uniform and walking through the doors of a classroom come true. But when he went there, what he didn't realize was he not only was getting a quality education, but it was in that place that he met amazing Christian role models who introduced him to the love of God. And Moses fell in love with reading his Bible, with going to devotions, with praying, with just encountering the love of God for the first time in his life and going to youth camps in the summer. And I remember he shared with me that he'd really struggled all his life with the absence of his father, but in that place that he came to call school, he actually was transformed by the love of a father who would never leave or forsake him. And this is what Moses said. There's a short quote here from Moses. He said, "When I finished school, some friends and I formed the Fields of Life alumni, whose aim is to give back to the community. Our heart is to use our skills and our resources to reach out to others with the same love that we have been given. Today I work for Fields of Life as the Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Coordinator, and it is my joy to serve God in this way and bring his hope to many more children and families. And Moses, for me, is just an incredible example of an amazing leader who was given that opportunity to discover the love of God, and who has now gone on to inspire countless numbers of children and young people every day in his workplace. And he's just one of so many who are doing that, whether they're working for Fields of Life, and some of them are, but so many of them in different spaces and places are investing in the next generation and sharing God's love. So that ripple effect all started with one individual who decided to sponsor Moses. And I guess my encouragement to you tonight is to never underestimate what can happen through your sacrificial generosity. So thank you and bless you for what you do.
So we've been right around East Africa, and we've seen the difference that's been made. We looked at I Am Girl. We looked at keeping children educated in schools, safe classrooms, water. I mean, there's just so much that you are making possible. But I guess what brings all these points together, and you've probably seen that theme throughout tonight, is that we want to see every child to thrive. We want that every child can say, I'm educated, I am safe, I am fed, and I am loved. And we've tried to give you just a glimpse of those. And if there's any of those areas that you want to dive deeper into, come and speak to us, and we would love to tell you more. But as I said at the very beginning, if there's one thing I wanted you to take away tonight, would be that you can make a difference. And so I asked Ross originally, I wonder what it would cost just to help one child. If we were to add up all the different activities that we're doing, all the children, all the tens of thousands of children who we're helping every year, I wonder how much it would cost to help one child thrive. And so he got to work with Roisin, who loves a good spreadsheet, and so does Anna, and they crunched the numbers. And so what we worked out was that when you add up all the different activities, and actually what you've seen tonight is actually just a small percentage, believe it or not, of what has been done over the year. But when you add all that up and you divide it by the thousands and thousands and thousands of children who are thriving because of those interventions, it works out at £5 or €5 or $7 a month. Isn't that amazing? £1.25 or €1.25 a week can let one child thrive. And we just felt like that's a message that we want to get out. I want people to know that. I know that all of you are invested, but what about your family members? What about your friends? What if they all knew that they could make a difference to one child? If we all thought that way, just think of the difference that we could make. So I hope that you are inspired by that. I want to invite up Trevor, Uncle T as they call him in Uganda, who is the founder. He's the Trevor of Fields of Life. He is that too. But he is the founder of Fields of Life more than 30 years ago. So take a seat. See if you can figure out the microphone.
Thank you.
You might be the first.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess, first of all, when you started Fields of Life, did you have any idea the impact it was going to have?
No, if I'm being honest, I didn't. And going to Uganda, just starting up an agriculture project, because that's my background, the thoughts of building a school to help children really didn't cross my mind. If you've ever read the book, you know in the book that me and education really don't go together. I wasn't that bright in school. To encourage my mother, I used to tell her one day I came second, but she didn't hear me under my breath saying second last. So the idea of God asked me to build a school on the farm was interesting, but no idea the impact it was going to have, none whatsoever.
Well, What if I told you that we as a team, and I don't know if this number will have slipped out, maybe you've managed to stay away from this number, but we wondered over the last 30 years, or 32 years now, is it? 32 years, I wonder how many children have been directly helped through all these interventions. And I wonder if anybody maybe even could imagine. And actually, it was really difficult to figure that out. It wasn't a simple equation. And so I hope you don't know this yet. Do you have any idea, roughly, how many children?
Well, I'm in a church, and Steve Stockman is looking at me, and I might have to go to confession afterwards if I said I didn't know. Because it's a little bit hard to see because there's cards sitting on the front. But I'm absolutely overwhelmed, and I can't believe the number that I'm reading on that sheet. It's absolutely astounding.
This is the number here that we think, although we can't know for sure, that have directly been helped through Fields of Life. I just think that deserves a round of applause. Like, that's amazing.
But my mantra when the school started was, you see so much poverty, you see so many children not in school. My mantra was one child at a time, and to see this figure, I'm just blown away. But it's people like you that are all here tonight, people who are watching online, who have made such a difference, and everybody in different ways have made a difference. You know, and people come and they visit. I remember when we built the first school where Moses was, and I remember going to Moses' house to do sponsorship and take his picture. But somebody came to visit the school, and even then we were trying to love the children and do what was best for them. And the children all came to school. Well, the first morning I thought, would anybody ever come to the school, because we sort of built in the middle of nowhere. But the children all walked to school on their bare feet. And we had a donor who came and said, this is ridiculous, the children walking to school in their bare feet. And we worked out that it was going to cost about, I think it was about £200 or £300 to shoe, if that's the right word, everybody. I'm a farmer, so yeah. To give shoes to all the children in the school, which was over 200 at the time. Now, that was interesting to see the guy come with about 1,000 pair of shoes But the next morning, all the children were walking in with their shoes in their hand. And I said, what is going on here? And they said, we don't want to wear our shoes out, so we'd put them on when we get into the classroom. But people have been helping in so many ways. And think of Moses. Moses and there's two other guys, Caleb and Daniel, in the office now as well, who were in that first school. And Daniel used to interpret for me when I would speak to the children. And to see them now in giving back to the organisation, it just blows me away. And going to the I Am Girl project, some of the earlier girls who were actually here on the Storytellers tour, I remember one of them, Juliet, I think it was Juliet, and I said to her, well, she was thanking Fields of Life for what they had done. And I said, well, you would have gone to school somewhere. She said, no, there was no school in our area. And I would have been married off to somebody that I didn't love, probably at 13, 14, but because I have an education, now I can choose my life partner for myself. And that's a huge difference. So it's amazing because you can think you can't make a difference, but everybody can make a difference, even to one child at a time. We can all make a difference, and this number is staggering.
What would you say to anybody here who's I guess, giving to Fields of Life, or who has given to Fields of Life? I mean, the need is so great. The need is so overwhelming. What would you say to anybody who was either considering or already giving to Fields of Life?
I would say keep going if you can. We have no idea of the impact that is being made. And I think, just to encourage you, we can see a number like this, but behind every number that's up there, there's a child's name. It could be Mary, it could be John, it could be Fred, it could be Sanya, it could be whoever. And that's making a big difference in their life. So if you can keep doing what you're doing, if you can do a little bit more, if you can, I would just encourage you to do it. I've had so much blessing over the last 30 years, 32 years, of seeing children's lives being changed for the better. I wouldn't change anything, you know, and I'd just keep keep going and pushing on and telling the story.
Brilliant. Well, let's give Trevor a big round of applause. I could just listen to Trevor all day. Yeah, we are just blown away by that number, although, as Naomi shared, the indirect benefit that has is astounding. And I really believe that it's possible that we can get to 1 million children, one child at a time, and that's kind of given us now a new focus. We want to be helping 1 million children, one child at a time, from this little ministry that started here in Ireland. Could we do that together as a movement, as a team? Could we help 1 million children? And I really believe that we can. I'm going to just share a little video just demonstrating kind of that sum up of letting every child thrive, and then I'm going to invite up Godfrey.
For children like Nancy at a school in eastern Uganda, this is what school used to look like. Her class didn't have a proper classroom. They gathered under a tree to learn. On hot days, the heat was unbearable, but it was much worse when it rained and they had to abandon their studies and go home. With only a few benches available, Nancy was crammed alongside her classmates, making it difficult to focus. There were no desks, so she had to balance her books on her knees while trying to write. Going to the toilet was a daily struggle. The school had just one toilet block for all students, with broken doors that don't close properly, leaving her without privacy. Out of desperation, Nancy sometimes went into the bush, but she feared the dangers hidden in the tall grass. For many children like Nancy, when lunchtime came around, there was no food to eat. Hunger pains made it nearly impossible to concentrate in the afternoon. So Nancy was forced to leave school early. Every day, Nancy showed incredible determination and resilience, but there were major obstacles standing between her and her education. Thanks to the incredible support of people like you, Nancy's life has been transformed. Her school received a new classroom block where she now learns. She can safely go to the bathroom at the new toilet block, and she receives a school meal every day. With your support, Fields of Life wants to train teachers, develop school leadership, and provide children with essential learning materials so every child can say,
I'm educated.
We want to support sustainable school farms so schools can grow their own crops and look after their own livestock, providing children with a daily meal so every child can say,
I am fed.
You can help provide safe school buildings, clean toilets, security fences, and reliable water access. Workshops on child protection, gender equality, and menstrual hygiene management will support every child to say,
I am safe.
We want to share quality Christian education and child-friendly Bible resources, empowering young people to thrive practically and spiritually and have the opportunity to learn about God's unconditional love so they can say,
I am loved.
So there you go. That gives you a real flavour of this next campaign that we're looking at and helping every child to thrive. I now I'm delighted to introduce Godfrey to you. Godfrey is fresh off the plane. So if you think you're tired, just think he has been all night on the plane. His last flight got cancelled when he was meant to come through the night before. So unfortunately he had to fly through the night last night. He arrived in to do a full day's board away day today. And now he's here to speak to us. So let's give him your warmest welcome. Over to Godfrey.
Yes, thank you so much. I think I'm on. Oh, great. Yes, I have been struggling with my eyes, trying to, you must keep awake at this time. So it is so nice to be here. Yeah, Godfrey Kalibala is my name, and I chair the board for Fields of Life East Africa, and I'm so delighted to be here. Yeah, I was here last year, and it is always exciting, and especially to meet you people. You can't imagine how exciting it is, and for me, it is the stories that we have just seen. Yeah. And to meet the people that make those stories a reality, for me, it is such a great joy. You will excuse me, I may be a bit emotional, and I think you understand. Yeah. When I look at these videos, and the reason for me being here, actually, majorly is to say thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. On behalf of so many children in East Africa, on behalf of the communities, for some of you who have been in East Africa, or even in Africa, you may appreciate the experiences you go through when you meet some of those communities. Yeah, for some, we have seen some of these videos when you look at that water that people are taking, when you look at the children, when they say, I am safe, for many of us who may not fully understand what it means to those girls, what it means to those children. Yeah. When they say, I am fed, it is very difficult to fully comprehend what that really means. Yeah. But for me, being there every day, I'm really so grateful when I see the numbers. Trevor just said that behind those numbers are real names, real lives, real stories of change. And it is such a joy when you meet some of those children. Yeah. Benny, I think, was here, and some other people who said, it's like an encounter. Yeah? You know, in the Bible, there are two stories that really inspire me, and kind of I look forward, and I wish that actually at the end of my life I can see such words. Yeah? One talks about David in Acts. Yeah. Yes, David in Acts. When we talk about David, very often we go to the other side. But there is a statement that after he had served the purposes of God in his generation, he rested. And then another story is about Simeon. Yeah? Simeon in Luke. Yeah? I think it's not also a common story, but I love the statement Simeon makes. You remember in the temple when he lifts baby Jesus? Yeah? He says, now let your servant do what? Rest or depart. Yeah? And it's not a common thing that somebody can ask of the Lord that let your servant depart, because of a great excitement. Yeah? Yes, many people have asked possibly the Lord, let your servant depart, but not because they feel they are so fulfilled in their life. But I have also had various encounters, and especially working with the vulnerable children. Yeah. God has given me the grace to see some of those children in the desperate situation. And for some, actually, I have seen when life has completely changed. One of the times when we had one of the Fields of Life functions, and some of you could have heard of Dr. Ida. Some of you could have heard her story. But I had the privilege to drive her from the function, and I was taking her back to the hospital where she was volunteering. So I got the opportunity, and I was intentional actually to be the one to take her back because I wanted to hear her story. Then she told me the story that actually she was very young, and Dr. Ida has a bit of disability, and she told me the story that she had completely given up studies. And in Africa, if you have a disability, more than 95 or so, or 99 even, having to succeed through that kind of life is almost next to impossible. We know that the circumstances, you will not have the opportunity. Then I asked Dr. Ida, how did this happen? And she told me, you know, she went to a Sunday school organized by Fields of Life when she was young, and she told me the story, how she connected. And when I met her now as a doctor, actually at that time she was just going to graduate. Now she graduated and she's serving in one of the hospitals as a way to give back. What a transformation. There is another young guy I met. I have worked for 30 years, over 30 years, working with the children, vulnerable communities, and in different areas, and now with the Fields of Life in that role, making that contribution. But one day I met a young man that I had met when he was young. I had organized a church and ministers meeting because I wanted in that community to encourage the ministers to support youth camps that I was doing. And I came a bit late in this meeting. So when I arrived, I came out of the car and the meeting was already going on. And one gentleman came out of the room where the meeting was, running, not even observing any protocol of the meeting. So he came, rushed to me, and gave me a very firm hug. Now everybody in the meeting was wondering what is happening, because they really respected this gentleman so much in the community. But for him to come running to me as if he was a kid and hugging me, everybody was wondering what is happening. Until, okay, I came into the meeting, but the long story short, after the meeting, this gentleman told me, he calls me Muzei. I don't know whether Trevor, when they call you Muzei, you know what it means in our context. Muzei is a sign of great respect. We say to our fathers and our parents, our grannies, they are the ones we call Muzei, but it can also be a very powerful sign of respect for somebody to address you as Muzei. So this gentleman, of course, when he came and hugged me, I noticed who he was, and I remembered the days when I used to visit him. They were children on their own, and he was the oldest, and he was looking after another 4 children in the family. I think he was around 15 that time. And now when the meeting ended, he asked me, Muzei, can I go and show you something? I was hesitant because I had driven a long distance. So I just wanted to rush back to Kampala because this was deep in the village. But I said, okay, let me go and see where he's taking me. So he took me. We drove. He was driving his car. I was following. He took me to a school. I was so humbled because he showed me the school, and he had over 1,000 children in the school. That was primary, and excellent school. Then he took me to a secondary school that he had started. And within the same community, he had also started a health center, and he wanted to train also nurses. And he had also put up a church in the same community. Now, when we parted and I was driving back to Kampala, I couldn't believe what I had seen. But I remembered, those are the moments when you say, this time was not, Lord, let your servant depart. But it was such a fulfilling moment for me. To tell you the truth, I have always dreamt to build a school. And for me, it is the opportunity that schools provide. Yeah, you can nurture those children, see them grow up, support them, see values, see them experience the love of God. It is such a great experience. I realized that actually the dream I had, yeah, even if I don't build a school now, it has been fulfilled through the contribution I made in this young man's life. It was so powerful for me. I really appreciated God. That's when I realized how much what seemingly can be a small contribution, what it can make in the lives of these children. We can't imagine what those children can be. And I want to appreciate Fields of Life so much. If it is to tell stories, there are quite a number of stories of these children. But we have an opportunity. For sure, there is a great opportunity. I didn't know at that time when I used to go to these children that actually this gentleman I would meet him in the state that he was in at this time. So there are so many children out there. And when I look at Tony and what the team is doing this side, when I look at you, I know most of you may be very busy, but for you to be here, it is a great sign of commitment. Actually, that's why I say for me, coming here, though sleepy, yeah, I really felt a great opportunity for me to say thank you very much. And shall we give you yourselves a hand clap? I wish I could. I had everybody. I would be giving you a very warm clap. I sincerely, on behalf of the children behind there and the communities, I want to appreciate you sincerely. We have a great opportunity. And for a number of us who may not have the opportunity to go that side and experience and see the life that people go through, but also the change, you may not fully experience it. But we are here to encourage everyone that we can make a difference. What may seem so little, yeah, I saw the numbers, yeah, it looks so little, but the impact it can create is so great. It's a powerful thing. You can also have an encounter through whatever you can be able to give. You can have that encounter and make a difference in one of those children's lives. It is such a joy. I know, how many of you have been able, sorry to ask, but how many of you have been able to go to Africa? Some. Wow, that is so encouraging. That is so encouraging. And when we talk about the impact that actually our giving, our prayers, our moral support, whatever we do, behind those numbers, as even we target the 1 million, imagine every contribution that we can make, every prayer that you make, every support that you can give to make a difference in that child's life. It is such a powerful contribution. I want to appreciate, I came for me to really appreciate you so much, and also encourage us in all our respective roles. For me as board chair, one of the things is to bring assurance, actually, that every coin we receive, I want to make sure, as the chair of the board, that we get the best out of every coin that we receive. And it is because of what that coin can do. It can turn around completely a child's life, and we can actually have so many children's lives transformed. When a child says, I am educated, I know what it means because I went through it. I remember for me, when I was flying, sincerely, when I was coming here, I was in this very huge plane. I even asked them, because it was this, I don't know what we call them, double, yeah? I asked them, let me climb up and see what is there. But for me, even much as I have traveled and gotten exposed, it was to appreciate that God can give an opportunity for life to be transformed. God can give an opportunity. I don't know through who, even for my life, through some people, God gave me an opportunity. I sincerely was seated in this plane and I was imagining where I had come from. And at this time I was flying. When I remember my childhood, the only dream I had was in the book. They used to tell us, the book had a picture of a plane. And in that plane, they were talking of a certain gentleman who had come from England. The only dream I had at that time was always to look at that book. I couldn't imagine that I was in the same plane. But somebody had given me an opportunity. And we can give a child an opportunity. And the child can say, I am educated because of somebody. When they say, I am fed, it may seem like just a word, but I know what it means because I used to go to school when I was hungry. And sometimes you would go back hungry, you don't know what you are going to eat. You're at school hungry, you go back, and you are not sure what's going to happen. Yeah? When they say, I am safe, at one time I walked, I remember refusing to go to school because I was, that was P2. P2 is around, I think 6, but I was walking 5 kilometers to go to school. And one time I felt like I couldn't bear it. I said, no, I'm not going to school. Yeah. So when they say I'm safe, yeah, some of them where they are walking to go to school, and when they say I am loved, it means so much to them. We can give so many children opportunity with what we think is very small. I came just to appreciate you, and I sincerely say thank you so much. All that you do, the support you give in whatever ways, but I also came to encourage you that we still have a great opportunity. Truly, we have a great opportunity, and we can make a difference. Even that target of 1 million, we can surely make it. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Godfrey. Really, thank you so much for making the effort to come here and to be with us. It really is our privilege to have you with us. Thank you, everyone. That's it for tonight. Thank you so much for all those who joined in online. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming out. I cannot tell you on behalf of us as a team just how much we appreciate you actually just being here. It means the world to us. So thank you for coming, for listening, for being part of this. I just want to say a big shout out to our very own Helen and Joy, who put together all the videos and all the running order. Can I just give them a massive round of applause? Thank you to all our team, and thank you to Fitzroy Presbyterian Church for this amazing facilities as well. I hope that you've got the message that you can make a difference. The need is great. There's a lot. We've talked a lot about the successes of what has happened, but please do not for a second think that there are not so many more needs out there. There are countless children who need that hope, and you can help be part of that. So please stick around, stay for a wee cup of tea. For those online, thank you so much, and have a blessed evening. Thanks so much. Cheers.